Today, we're going to be going into the topic of how to get out of a relationship you no longer want to be in. Now, if you're going through this process, it is such a painful period of your life where you're trying to end things and yet you simply can't, or maybe you're confused of, is this even the right decision to be making? And yet you know that the situation you're in is really not bringing out the greatest in yourself. You have become an emotional mess. You are not living up to your potential and you know it. I am someone that was in a 7-year secret relationship with a married man. And so I tried to end this relationship thousands of times. Yes, thousands is an exaggeration, but it just felt like I would end it nearly every other day, and yet it just never went anywhere. And then alternatively, if you haven't tried to end it and yet you're just always having conversations around how to make things better, or do we end this relationship and you haven't actually pulled the plug and yet you fear pulling the plug even though you need to, then this video is for you. Firstly, if you're in a relationship that you know you need to end, the number one thing I would be super clear on is what is it exactly is it that you know you need deep down? And if it's to end the relationship, be so clear on your end game so that when you bring this conversation up with your partner, there is no going back. Because what often I hear happen in these situations is that you bring up the conversation with your partner and then they try to turn you around or resolve things when in reality you're set. And then what happens is you get pulled back into the relationship, you get pulled back into it for a time. Maybe the time is filled with a few highs, or maybe you're just thinking, yeah, what they said was right, I should give it another chance. And then you get back to the same place of intuitively deep down knowing this is no longer serving for me and I really got to get out of it. When you're in this place, it's super fundamental that you're very clear on what it is that you want. And then you don't need to explain yourself to the degree that you're probably explaining yourself. You're probably feeling like you really owe it to your partner to give a very clear explanation on why this is no longer working, maybe what your intention is moving forward, and all of these things. And what happens is this actually digs us a hole deeper into this unhealthy relationship, because he, in these situations, and I say he because I work with women, not because it's based on gender, this can happen for men as well, but in this situation, when you're giving him more information around what your intentions are or why you're needing to move on, or he's wanting more clarity, you're actually giving him more ammunition to either pull you out of it or to guilt you or to be emotional over, and then you fall into the trap of feeling wrong for what you're doing, doubting yourself, second guessing yourself, and then you get pulled back in. If this relationship is somewhat unhealthy and cyclical, and you're noticing this is not actually getting anywhere and it's becoming quite toxic or unhealthy, often we say more in order to be respectful to them because they've been our partner, and we feel like we owe it to them to be really honest. And yet, when we give them our honesty, it's not held in the way that feels safe to us. And we find ourselves backtracking, letting go of what our intention was in order to go with them on their perspective of what you should do. Just in a nutshell, be very clear on what it is that you're wanting before you start the conversation with your partner. Be very clear. Don't say less than saying more, so that there is less to bite off and potentially less to fall back on. I'm saying this if this is an unhealthy situation, because if it's a healthy situation, saying more is way more emotionally available and you can go deeper and it can actually be resolved in a much better way. However, the pattern of trying to end it many times and you can't, often this comes with there's an unhealthiness to the relationship, or it's gotten to a place of being unhealthy, and so actually sometimes it's best to say less. The next thing is be okay with not being liked. If you're someone that really wants to do good by others, then the fear of breaking up and then him being disappointed in you hurt by you, depressed, going through a lot of grief. We don't want to put that pain on them. And then so we shift our way of showing up to support them. And this is actually compromising yourself and your path forward. So be okay with not being liked. For a time, often in breakups, things can get louder. Your partner may get louder and really fight for things or be defensive or be reactive. And what I want to say here is allow it to be messy, allow things to go in that direction for a period, and know that this is the necessary path in order for you to break free. Often we stop ourselves from taking the necessary action because we actually don't want to face that what we know deep down we're going to face, which is this mess. Allow things to get messy, allow things to be uncomfortable. The reality is, if this relationship was easy to express yourself and you could say everything in the relationship, then this wouldn't be so easy to break things off, because he would be coming from a place of really wanting to serve you and notice that you too are actually hurting and not living your best self anymore in this relationship. And so, as painful it is to him, he would want, because of his love for you, he would want to honor you in doing what's best for you. And that is not happening. It is more like a holding on and a enmeshment with each other. If things were healthy, then you'd be able to say things without it being a bomb or getting messy. The reality of things getting messy is actually showing you deep down the health of the relationship, and you've gotten to a point of, I can do this no more because I can't speak my truth in this. And if I do, things will get messy. And you've really gotten to the end point of noticing, when I honor myself, it is not respected or honored. Next, trust that the faster that you act on things, the faster that you will heal. In these situations, often take baby steps. We try to slowly rip the band-aid off and exit ourselves out in order to not create this mess. And yet you're living in the mess while going slow. And what I can offer you here is you can actually go quite fast and create significant change really fast and actually free yourself in a way that feels fulfilling if you're willing to go through some painful days and a little bit of mess. Not a little bit, it's often a lot of mess. And make sure here that you're in a safe place when you are ending things. If you are, it's easier if you take the action, have the really difficult conversations as opposed to the semi-difficult conversations. Have the really difficult ones, rip the band-aid off, and know that the faster you act, the faster you'll be free. I want to talk about the importance of writing down your why on ending things. When we end things, often we go into a place of grief and questioning if we did the right thing. We miss all the beautiful aspects of the relationship. And so, in the early days of grief, it's really valuable to have down a list of things of why it's so important to move on from this. So maybe write down on your list how you've shifted as a person, maybe how your self-worth has declined in this relationship, maybe aspects of yourself that can't be freely expressed, maybe inability to fully express your emotions and be met. Maybe it's the cycles of going round in circles in good times, bad times, good times, bad times, and not actually getting anywhere consistently where you're moving forward and progressing in the relationship. Write down everything of what's no longer working, where you're no longer showing up as your best self, and refer to this list daily so that you have this as your North Star on why it's really fundamental that you make the change today. And lastly, get support. In this place that you're in right now, if your only real main person in your life is your partner and you're struggling to move things on, you're going to really struggle with having the strength to end things and to end things fast and to heal through this. So make sure that you're really bolstering yourself with a support network that is going to help you with the strength when you have lost yours. it is life-changing when we have people to talk with, when we feel at our lowest, depleted. You have to have this and you deserve to have this. So get support in the ways that feel good to you. Make sure that the support you're getting is really making you feel good, strong, and clear in yourself around your direction. If it isn't making you feel fully that, and you're sharing these things and then feeling silly or shameful or second guessing yourself, then I wouldn't say that level of support is of the highest and finest that you deserve to experience. So make sure you're getting support, and again, allow things to get messy. It's for your highest good, and it's time that you take the action in service to yourself. You deserve to be free. You deserve to lead a fulfilling life where you're constantly moving forward and stepping into better versions of yourself every day. And if that's not going to be fulfilled in this relationship, then you are losing precious time where you could be spending it and evolving in other areas of your life. So I hope that helps. Bye for now.